Hey guys, it's Frederik from the FWX podcast. I'm gonna continue with our talk about the Captain America franchise, and I want to talk now about the latest movie, Brave New World. And like I've said before in the previous installments, in the previous episodes, I'm gonna have to talk about stuff that has happened in between the works before from the MCU. For instance, several other movies and TV series have happened at this point. That includes the one belonging to this franchise, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So some people I will explain because they only appeared before in the series. I'm gonna do that in a second. I'm gonna first give you the disclaimer in that I will occasionally flub a word. I will have a weird pause in case I have to look something up on my screen. Also, if I have to look something up on my screen, the screen is gonna get brighter. I'm gonna get a bit brighter too, in which case my glasses are gonna reflect maybe. Also, important, I might swear as well, or not. That tends to happen or not. We'll see. Okay, so let's start with talking about this movie, Captain America Brave New World. Alright, let's do this. So, first off, like you already saw in that poster, we see a new version of Thaddeus Ross, played in this movie by Harrison Ford, who at this point has become, or rather has been elected President of the United States, and it's been 5 months since that has happened. And at this point he has sent our two leads, or rather, our main lead, Sam Wilson, who is now Captain America, and Joaquin Torres, who is the new Falcon, to a place in Mexico, Oaxaca, I hope I said that right, to stop the sale of illegal items, specifically classified items, that have been stolen by a mercenary group called Serpent and their leader Sidewinder. And so that's a lot of information just in one set. And I want to turn back for a moment and address a couple of things. So Joaquin Torres, I'm gonna show the picture again. So this guy is Joaquin Torres. We met this guy in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. He is someone that Sam knows, while the Sidewinder and his mercenary group are something completely new for this movie. And so the two of them recover the items, and there's a couple of cool action scenes in this movie with them where Sam shows off that while he does not have the super soldier serum, he is a very qualified fighter, and he has the usage of his old Falcon suit embedded into his new suit as Captain America, while also using the shield that he has been training with. Also important to know here, the Sidewinder, we can also show in this movie, is played by the incredible Giancarlo Esposito, who is the leader of that organization, the Serpent, and he escapes. And our guy Torres he's very excited to take on the mantle of the Falcon from Sam. But Sam is also very withholding because he is well aware that the both of them do not have superpowers like Steve Rogers or Bucky Barnes have. And that makes it all the more clear that they could as well just die if they do not handle themselves well in those missions. And so they go and talk with another important person in this movie, Isaiah Bradley, who was a super soldier himself, and but unfortunately he was imprisoned and experimented on by the American government back in his day, because this is an older man, an older super soldier, and also someone who, like Sam, has had a tenuous relationship with both the government and with life as a black person. And so Sam gets an invite from the now new president to come to a special summit at the White House, where several other world leaders will be at. But Sam only accepted in on the condition that Isaiah can come with, and so that is allowed. And Isaiah comes along, and during this, as they're getting in, and Bradley is a little flustered, but also taken aback by how youthful and excited that Torres is, while the president has Sam taken aside and has a heart-to-heart talk with him, and he wants Sam to do something that hasn't been done in a long time, and that is to reform the Avengers. And at this point, they have a back and forth, and ultimately, President Ross has his own little thing that he has to go do, and so he's pulled away from the meeting, and he starts the summit. And Thaddeus Ross explains that there has been this almost looks like a man emerging from the earth, and by the way, that has been covered in the Eternals movie, but this place they now have dubbed Celestial Island, which is where Tiamat from the Eternals movie has started to emerge from in the Indian Ocean. And the president says that inside the sky, the Tiamat, they have discovered something new, a new metal, and he has coined it adamantium. And for the MCU, that's a big deal to talk about, because adamantium implies that we're likely going to see at some point a new Wolverine. Okay, but we'll go further. And the reason for the summit is that Ross very much wants to share this information and this metal with the rest of the world, so they can have it as a union. And that was also his whole election message, to do things together. And that is also exactly where this movie starts, with a moment with Ross as he is on stage and he presents his idea for a summit to talk about adamantium on Celestial Islands. And so we find ourselves at that meeting at the summit, where he gets to talk with the Japanese president, the leader of that country. And the items that Joaquin and Sam recovered were in fact actually stolen from the mining operation found every that found the adamantium. And so for that whole reason, that is why the summit is happening. But and you can already hear me say but, yes. That is where things start to get, as the term goes, from out of the frying pan into the fire. As there is a song playing at that moment. It's called Mr. Blue by the Fleetwoods. And it causes several people in the crowd along and it causes several people in the crowd to snap into some kind of mode, and that also includes Isaiah Bradley to start shooting at President Ross as Isaiah gets his hands on a gun from a Secret Service agent. But luckily, they are captured, taken out and captured, including Isaiah too. And although Bradley does make it even outside the White House, of course showing off the fact that he used to be a super soldier himself, only he is tracked by Ross's head of security and also his security advisor, Ruv Bat-Seraf, who, by the way, used to be a former Black Widow. And they gather all these people together and they gather their senses again, and they deny that they knew anything about what happened. And that includes Bradley too. And so Sam asks the president to investigate what is happening. But as Sam is on his way to investigate, he gets ambushed by Giancarlo Esposito's Sidewinder, the leader of Serpent. And I have to do something first for a second. I'll continue though. So so Sam is ambushed by Sidewinder, but he manages to capture him, and that leads the two of them, Torres and Wilson, to work as a team to track Sidewinder and where he was coming from, and they get to a place in West Virginia, a hidden black site that apparently has the name of Camp Echo 1. And so Torres and Wilson go to that place, tracking where Sidewinder was coming from. Meanwhile, Ross is trying to keep this treaty with the Japanese together, but unfortunately they have gotten intelligence that blames him of the stealing of the I'm gonna rephrase. So Ross is trying to salvage the treaty from the summit, that he wants to work with people, but the government of Japan has their own report from their own intelligence that blames the US for the stealing of their adamantium and the attack on the White House too, by the way. And at this point, Ross realizes that who really is the mastermind behind this attack. And Sam and Joaquin find who it is first at Camp Echo 1. And it's nobody else but Samuel Stearns, who we met years and years back in one of the very first movies in the MCU, in The Incredible Hulk. Dr. Samuel Stearns, who had been exposed to the blood of Bruce Banner, Sam's old colleague, old Avenger colleague, aka the Hulk, the big green guy. I don't have a picture of him right now. I do have a picture of him. It's him right here. That's Samuel Stearns. It's also called the Leader. By the way, because of all the reshoots that this movie had to go through, 2 people were left out of this. And those are these 2, Rosa Salazar and Seth Rollins. But I'm not gonna diverge too much into that. I'm just gonna keep it on the story, but I thought it was important to include this in for just a second. And so they come to know what has happened, and that Stearns has now gained advanced intelligence because he was exposed to Bruce Banner's blood when he was fighting the Abomination. The Abomination is a likewise creature like the Hulk who fought him in Harlem in New York. And this is info from the very first Incredible Hulk movie in the MCU, at the start of the MCU. And so President Ross had imprisoned Stearns for years at Camp Echo 1 and blamed him for what happened with the Abomination, that being him getting estranged from his daughter Betty Ross, who, by the way, does also appear in this movie, played by Liv Tyler, all the way back in The Incredible Hulk, and now returns in this movie for a bit, but I'll tell you about that later. But, by the way, you also have this woman, Shira Sabra. Shira, who plays Sabra, aka... Wait, that information is not completely correct. I'm gonna rephrase for a second. So, this actress, she plays the security advisor and security chief of Ross. And she used to be a Black Widow. So, yeah. And this woman here on this side, I hope I say her name correctly, Xosa Rockmore. She plays the Secret Service detail that has Ross, that protects Ross. Yes. So there we get this kind of exposition filled moment where Ross has been keeping Stearns for such a long time, and he initially promised Stearns, the president had initially promised Stearns that he would release him if Stearns helped him win the presidency. And Sam and Joaquin find out how Stearns did it, and they learn that he used technology, including the song Mr. Blue by the Fleetwoods, to control people's minds. And the 2 of them, in fact, have to face this guy, and they get out of there while having to fight those Mr. Blue manipulated soldiers, the mind-controlled soldiers. And as they are, Ross has sent his security advisor, this woman again, to come and help them. And she finds them, of course, and they get out of the place. Yes. Only to have a brief moment with the FBI, who initially have the intention of doing the right thing, but then they also get manipulated by the Mr. Blue song. And that leads them to a friend of Sam Wilson called Dennis Dunphy, who is known in the comics as D-Man. And I don't have a picture of him, but he's a military person, and he has Sidewinder in custody. He has Giancarlo's character in custody. And Sam gets another exposition-filled conversation with Sidewinder about what the plan really was for Stearns, and that is to destroy Thaddeus Ross's reputation. And this leads the three of them, the security advisor and Sam and Torres, to go to Celestial Island, where Ross is now taking control of the fleet of the US Army, or of the Navy that is there, to really, I dare say, hulk it out with the Japanese fleet, but without hulking out exactly. And I'm hulking out here as a term, as the meaning of like becoming an enormous rage monster. In fact, as this is happening, as Ross and the Japanese are trying to prevent each other from killing each other, and Sam is doing the same, Stearns takes control of two American pilots and makes them attack the Japanese fleet. And so that makes Sam and Joaquin go outside and use their pilot experience and abilities to make it stop, to make these pilots stop firing at the Japanese fleet. And they are successful in this, although Torres does get hit, unfortunately. And as I was saying, while all of this is happening, Stearns has a device for Ross, and they're talking. He's the thing that Stearns has been doing for all these years is that he's making, I gotta make sure I say that right. So Stearns for years has been declining Ross's health by making him take pills that would normally prolong his life, but actually is upping the volume of gamma into his body, into his blood. And Ross has this moment with Sam where he is telling them that actually he's dying. His heart is about to take out from under him. And so that leads to this fearful moment for Ross, where he has to get away from taking control as the president for a moment, and he's afraid that he will actually let loose and let the beast out. But luckily enough, the pilots are saved, the planes are ruined though, and so that leaves us to get Sam. That leaves us to Sam getting Joaquin in a hospital to get him treated, of course. And this is where we see I have a picture of him. I'm sure of it. So I'm gonna say though, he does not look like this anymore, but Bucky shows up. Now, as he himself is actually running for a political campaign himself. Or already has it. Because he does have like a pin like you see on politicians. They have like this unique little pin on their suits. And so Sam gives him the advice that he needs. Consoling Sam. And we cut to Dunphy, who has been holding Sidewinder Esposito's character, and we see that actually Stearns has gone into Dunphy, and Dunphy had just learned from his doctor friend that the pills that Ross had been taking have been adding gamma radiation, as I was already saying. I'm getting confused a little. So Stearns kills Dunphy to prevent him from saying to Sam that these pills have been giving Ross gamma radiation. And shortly after this, Stearns also surrenders himself to Wilson. And as this is happening, everybody's back in America, and there is a moment where Ross has to go on the place in the Rose Garden of the White House where he is declaring that we will be working together. We are glad that what happened in the ocean near Japan is over, and we hope to amend our relationship with them. But in that moment, the information about him is revealed to the public, and the public is attending the press conference that Ross is doing. And this makes Ross lose control of his emotions. And here you see the full-on transformation of him turning into a Hulk. But not a green Hulk. A red Hulk. And everybody is perplexed by this. Especially the media. And they are confounded to this. Like, how did the hell did this happen? And this causes Sam to have to take Ross down. Basically, not kill him, but make him calm down. Because as we've seen from previous moments in the MCU, especially with everything that Bruce Banner has been in the movies, is that you don't have to take a Hulk down. You don't have to kill him, but you can calm them down. And so he does that, but he does have to fight him because of this. And so we get incredible fights from the White House and the nearby buildings, and we get Sam, who quickly comes up with a plan to calm Ross back down to his normal form. And he does that by going to the cherry blossoms that are in DC, and there are many of them. And there's a place where Ross used to go with his daughter, with Betty. And after a gruesome fight where they both show off their powers, Sam manages to get Ross back to revert to his normal self again, as he reminded him of the cherry blossom that this isn't what you want. This isn't what Betty would want. This isn't what I would want. And I know you too. I want you to be better. She wants you to be better. The country wants you to be better. And so that therapy basically works, and Ross reverts back to his normal self. And during all this time, Isaiah Bradley has been in a prison, and he never wanted to, of course. But the initial incident in the White House had him kept there. And we get the last couple of scenes from this movie where Sam gets Bradley out of that prison, telling him that you will never ever have to go back to that. And if they try, I'm not gonna let them. He doesn't actually say that, but that's my editorial on that. And Sam also comes and sees Torres, who's hospitalized, and he asks him to be the first to join the Avengers, as he has come to the decision that, yeah, we do need the Avengers back. And at the same time, the treaty with Japan is also ratified, so to the point where Ross has so embarrassed himself, but also has come to a new place for himself. And he has himself, he resigns from his office, and he lets himself be incarcerated at the raft, which had its own appearance in Civil War, by the way. And this is the cool but very short moment where we do get to see Betty back for a brief but very beautiful, tender moment, though. And of course, in true Marvel fashion, in MCU fashion, we get an after credit scene where the leader, Samuel Stearns, this guy, tells Sam that you might want to look out for what's happening. You better know what to do when the others will come. And this implies that maybe there are other worlds where people will come from to hurt people on this earth. And that is where this movie ends. So, it's been a blast talking about these movies. I have to say, Captain America Brave New World, as I've said before, some things did not get through because of what happened in our rewolds. There were reshoots, and there was also the SAG-AFTRA strike, of course, and that made them do the reshoots and all the rewriting. And the way that Marvel works is that you have the initial idea, you work out the initial idea, and then there is like an editorial done by the leadership at Marvel. But at this point, there was a cut and paste thing. Sorry, I'm gonna say that differently. There was a kind of cut and copy kind of way of dealing with this. But I might talk about Daredevil Born Again maybe soon. They did something similar where things needed to be redone or be added to, and that was the same with this movie. And I think just like with Born Again, it did work. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It's a fucking good one. And it reminded me a lot of the, ironically enough, Jack Ryan films and books too. Which is ironic, of course, because Harrison Ford did used to play him in one movie. Also, it has, especially with all the ship stuff and the fly stuff, It reminded me a lot of The Hunt for Red October, which is an old spy movie from a spy book. So keep it up, Marvel. I have only good things to say about this movie. Okay. So thank you for watching and listening to what I've been talking about with these movies. I'm also gonna cover the series at one point soon. So thank you for watching and listening to me. You can like and subscribe. You can also comment if you like. Please also share it with friends, family, and whoever you know. I've been Frederik for the FWX podcast. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.